Good afternoon and welcome to the full board meeting of the State Board of Education. It's clearly a pleasure to have you all here today. This is a full house with lots of interesting folks with us today. So we look forward to hearing from you. I want to remind everybody to turn off your cell phones and other electronic devices. And just remind the board members that when you speak, you need to speak into the microphone because all this is recorded. So our first item of business today is I want to recognize the Saluda High School Navy JROTC, and they're accompanied by Sergeant First Class Reginald Phillips. So if you all would stand, please. Center, face. Present colors.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Post the colors. Post. Right. Face.
Set.
Forward. March. Again, I want to thank the Saluda Navy JROTC. You know something about Saluda, don't you?
Yes, sir, I do. In fact, I think I taught their mothers and fathers.
Okay, very good.
Very proud of those young folks.
I also want to welcome two of our newest members to the state board. The first one is Miss Chrissy Stapleton, representing the 2nd Judicial District, and she's also the superintendent at Barnwell. And Dr. Sean Johnson, representing the 3rd Judicial District.
Superintendent Clarendon, too.
Superintendent Clarendon, too. Thank you, Molly. Ms. Stapleton will be a member of the Educator Licensure Cases Committee, and Dr. Johnson will be a member of the Education Professions Committee. So welcome. We look forward to your service and your good counsel for the teachers and children of South Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is the approval of the minutes, and if there's no objection, I will declare there is an objection.
Well, no, just one point of correction, please. Under state board members in attendance, I was in attendance at that meeting.
You were.
It's referenced later in the body, but not listed under following members in attendance. If that can be corrected, thank you.
Okay, duly noted, and it will be corrected. Any other objections? Hearing none, the minutes are approved by unanimous consent. Thank you. The next item is the approval of our agenda. Is there any objection to approving the agenda as presented? Dr. Downs, do you have it? Oh, okay. Hearing none, the agenda is approved by unanimous consent. It's now time to recognize visitors, including news media. Is there any news media with us today? Seeing none, then I will go to guest. Sue, do you want to introduce your new boss?
I'm Sue Rawls. I am a sales rep, if you will, assessment consultant for Riverside and Spaghetti, Iowa, in the Carolinas. And this is my new manager, Jeff Squires, and I brought it down south from the Midwest to show him how we do it, right? So, thank you so much.
Jeff, are you a Buckeye?
I am.
Oh, okay, okay,
Scary, isn't it? Having that.
okay. Very good. Well, welcome to the Palmetto State. Now, the next report is the State Board Chair, and I just want to share that yesterday I had the opportunity to be with Dr. George Peterson and his team from Clemson. Dr. Peterson is the Dean of the College of Education, and we spent the morning at River Bluff High School with Dr. Luke Clamp. I think most of you know Dr. Clamp is a national principal of the year, I think the current one, correct? And it was just an amazing, I've been there 3 or 4 times, but I always go back and I'm always continually impressed with what's going on. I learned a lot more yesterday about the Mod Flex schedule, which I thought was pretty unique. And I discovered something I didn't know. There are no bells when classes change. Students are responsible for knowing when their class ends, as are teachers, and they're responsible for knowing where they're supposed to be in the next class. We also had the opportunity to meet with some teachers at River Bluff, and I asked them the question: if there's one thing you would like to share with the State Board of Education, what would that be? And by and large, they just want to know that we value who they are. We value what they do. We value their contribution. We value the way they teach and grow our children. So I told them I would be happy to share that. So probably all of us need to find more opportunity to express gratitude to our teachers across the state. So with that, I also asked the dean if he would like to say a few things to all of us gathered here. So Dean Peterson, the floor is yours. We're glad you're here.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much, and I appreciate those kind comments, and I want to reiterate that they did want us to know how much they enjoy being teachers and how they appreciate your support in the work that they did. So I have a few things I'd like to say, and so Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Madam Superintendent, I thank you for this opportunity to speak with you and spend a few minutes, and I'm honored to be here. We're here really for 3 reasons today. First, as we have a Dean's Leadership Institute, I have members of my faculty and staff. We are creating leadership capacity in my college. It's a year-long program to develop the leadership capacity of staff and faculty in the College of Education, as well as to provide them an understanding of the land-grant mission of the College of Education at Clemson. So we're here today, and we're pleased to be here with all of you. Second, and probably super important, is the 20th anniversary of a phenomenal program, the Call Me Mr. program. And so we're thrilled to be here today. As many of you know, since its inception, the program has grown to 24 colleges and universities in the state and in South Carolina, and actually 8 different states. In the past 20 years, 275 men have been graduated from this program and received teaching positions. Our executive director and my good colleague, Dr. Roy Jones, is not with us at this minute. I think he's in the state legislature, but he's the executive director, and under his leadership, he continues to grow the quality and expansion of a phenomenal program. And I'm happy to say that our state is blessed to have the Misters because they are making a difference. And finally, I'm here and I appreciate the opportunity to just stand in front of you and say thank you. I thank you. I'm in my 6th year as the founding dean of the College of Education. Superintendent Spearman, has it really been that long? But during my tenure, many of you, both individually and collectively, have served to encourage us, animate and motivate us, and of course support our efforts to be the transformational leader in the state through the development of innovative programs, initiatives, and partnerships. Without your approval, we would not be able to establish innovative programs designed to address the teacher shortage and the pipeline in our state. And I'm confident I don't need to talk to any of you about the teacher shortage that we face. So we're grateful for your approval of our teacher residency program. Early quantitative and qualitative data indicates that the program is having an impact on teacher preparation, our teacher residents, as well as creating instructional capacity in our partner school districts. I want to also thank you for your support of our recent innovative practice of Expressway to Tigertown, a seamless partnership with Greenville County Schools, Greenville Tech, and Clemson. The program facilitates greater access and affordability to students who would like to become teachers, and it's much more affordable for them, and the program is off to a great start. And then finally, our efforts to improve retention through professional development. We have a program called Perfecting Your Roar, and the program provides support for first-year teachers at no cost. The program is available to all teachers who attend the Saturday seminars, and we're pleased to tell you it's in its second year. But probably most important for this august body is to know that in the research that we're conducting on that is their confidence in lesson preparation, classroom management, and using data to improve practice is excelling. And finally, and probably not surprisingly, I want to let you know that we're not done. We have several other programs and initiatives in the works, and we look forward to bringing them to all of you for your review and, of course, your approval in the coming months. Thank you for this opportunity to be in front of you today. Thank you on behalf of all the Clemson staff, students, and faculty. We are truly grateful for your leadership, your service, your engagement, and support. You are helping us make a difference in this wonderful state. And go Tigers.
Thank you, Dr. Peterson. I want all of you to know that if you look at my lapel, I do have one of those tiger paws on today because Dr. Peterson gave me a tiger paw yesterday, and so I promised him that I would wear it today also. I do have one child who did graduate for Clemson, so it qualifies for me to wear that. But so Dr. Peterson, again, thank you. We're grateful for what you do. You've got a wonderful team that I had the opportunity to be around yesterday, and we look forward to Clemson and the College of Ed to continue to do innovative and wonderful things for the Palmetto State. So thank you again. The others signed up for public comment, so I'm going to wait and introduce the others during public comment. Actually, Clemson was just part of this chair's report. So with that, Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good
I know
afternoon.
you've done a couple important things today.
I've had kind of a busy day. It's great to be with you all. Welcome to everyone. And Dean Peterson, thank you for your leadership, and my good friend Lee DeAndrea, Dr. DeAndrea, for your work in helping us. There she is. All sorts of things Lee supports us with in education across the state, and all the staff that look forward to meeting with you privately after our meeting today. We really excited about all the things you're doing, particularly the Teacher in Residence program. Call Me Mister, one of my favorite South Carolina born and raised programs, and I speak up for you whenever I can to get more funding and to support your wonderful model. I don't have a formal report. I want to just share with you a couple things that have happened since we saw each other last. Some good news from the College Board on advanced placement. You may have seen it scrolling on it's on our website. We were recognized again for our achievement in advanced placement courses in 8 of 10 of the most popular advanced placement courses. South Carolina students who take the exam scored above the national average, which means 3, 4, and 5. They have to score at least a 3, 4, and 5 to get credit, and we are above the national average. The good news is also that we continue to increase our participation by everyone, including minority students, and our success rate continues to grow as that happens. So we're very, very excited about that. We also were recognized as one of the fastest growing states in the nation for our computer science advanced placement. We went from 600 students to over 1,000 students taking the computer science principles course, which is the more advanced. There are 2 that students are allowed to take. This is the more advanced course, so we're really excited about that, thanks to all the educators, teachers, and students who are working hard to make that true. I was down in Charleston this morning and spoke to a very inspirational group, the Charleston Leaders. It's a group of business folks who are gathered together to support education, and it was a wonderful. It motivated me, and the Leader in Me program, a Stephen Covey Foundation, is one that they are helping to put into many of the elementary schools down in the Charleston, Berkeley, and Dorchester area. So it's a great, great program. After that speech, we stopped by Palmetto Scholars Academy, which is a charter school in the South Carolina Public Charter District, for a big announcement. The Milken Family Foundation, the Milken Institute out of Los Angeles, recognizes teachers. They've been doing this for 30 years, and we recognize one of our own teachers there, Leslie Sullivan, thank you. I had it written down here, thank you. You heard. Leslie Sullivan, a social studies teacher who's in her 8th year of teaching, was surprised at the announcement. It was quite a day for the students in that school. She does a marvelous job. She, of course, received the recognition, the thank you, the pat on the back. But the best part was she got a little check in the amount of $25,000. So go see Leslie if you need some help there. But we're so thrilled for that school and for our state to continue in that type of recognition. We're very busy right now with the legislative session going on. Katie Nilgis, who represents us over at the legislature, is there now. We have given our budget request and our reports to Ways and Means. She's involved this afternoon with the Proviso Committee, and of course also watching and monitoring the debate on Senate 419, which is Education Reform Bill. The Senate has spent every day since they have been in session on this bill. So the debate is moving slowly. They are beginning now to pass some amendments. The fate of that bill, I think, remains to be seen. There are parts of it that I support the bill, and there's some parts of it that we desperately need to carry out our work here at the Department of Education. So we're watching that very, very closely. This will probably be a long week of going into the night with debates. So I'm sure by the time you come back next month, we should know what's going to happen with that bill. But there's certainly a few things that I am interested in, the tweaks to the Read to Succeed legislation, which gives us a little more, schools more flexibility on the reading coach funding, and also gives us as a department more flexibility in working with the schools where they really do need some extra support for literacy. So that's a piece of it that's very important to us, and as I have told you, each month you hear a report from the 3 districts that we are managing here from the state level: Williamsburg, Timminsville, and Allendale. And as we make progress on those benchmarks, there will come a day, I hope not too far off in the future, but there will come a day when we need to leave. And the question is, do we go follow current law, which says the board that was in control at the point of the state management would take control, or do we do something different? I'm asking that we do something different in an appointed board that would be in place for a few years to monitor the success and would report to you as state board members, and then at some point that you all agree that it is time, there would be elections held and return back to the fully elected board. So that is in S419, and we'll see what happens. But I think we need some mode of transition from our state of emergency or state management. So that's my report. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer those now or later in the meeting. Thank you, sir.
Any questions for the superintendent? Okay. Well, thank you, Madam Superintendent. Madam Parliamentarian.
Two things. Almost every one of the state board members has filed their statement of economic interest. I've spoken, I need to speak to Dr. Johnson about it. And then there are two other members. I won't call you out. I'll just look at you afterwards really hard. That said, I'm the only employee who's filed so far, so I could look back there too. So that's a statement of economic interest. If you filed, then you've avoided the $100 late filing penalty. I do want to take one moment to talk about, because we've had so many new members in the last year, if you have a conflict, and historically the state board members have recused when anything comes from their district. And that would make sense for Dr. Johnson, for Ms. Stapleton and Dr. Green, since they're at the top of that food chain in those places. But unless you have an actual conflict, you are not required. Historically, board members have recused, but if you don't have a conflict, then you don't need to recuse. But if you do recuse, then you need to complete the recusal form that Noel has, as well as make clear that the minutes clearly reflect that you are recusing because of a conflict. I just want to bring that to your attention at this point. Conflicts are, you have a conflict, you're not going to have a conflict. It's very unlikely that you would have a conflict with something that y'all were doing. A family member has a conflict, a business with which you're associated, or an individual with whom you're associated has a conflict, and thus it becomes your conflict. Unless you find yourself on the ELC and a family member comes before the ELC, which would be most unfortunate. But if that were to happen, I could see recusals all over the place. You seated employed teachers, educators. It would be tenuous to ever say that you truly had a conflict from something from this office. I mean, from this commission, board. Can't even talk. From the board. But if you do, I'm available to assist you in determining if you truly do have a conflict. Thank you.
Questions for Ms. Hazelwood? Okay, thank you. Next is public comment, but before I do that, I want to recognize that we do have an elected official with us today, Mr. Paul Livingston, who's chair of the Richland County Council. Paul, it's good to see you. Thank you for being here today. With that, this is time for public comment, and I'm going to start with the Palmetto State Teachers Association. It's Tony. I had a hard time reading this. Let me try.
Sorry, I was going to tell you that.
Tony, you have five minutes allotted for comments. Since this is the first time we're hearing the comments, it's our policy to accept your comments as information. If we have questions or need additional information, we will contact you at a later date. So thank you for understanding this. So, Tony. Tony.
Good afternoon. I'm Tony Tuning. I am the Director of Association Activities for Palmetto State Teachers Association. January was School Board's Appreciation Month, but unfortunately our staff was unable to be here. So I'm here today on behalf of our 15,000 members to say thank you for what you do on your position on the state board. We know that serving on the State Board of Education is an important commitment, and we appreciate your service. So every day the public schools in South Carolina are led by the hardworking educators, and they depend on you. So I brought each of you a silver palmetto tree that's being passed out to show you a symbol of our appreciation for what you do for the students and the teachers in South Carolina. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to working with you in 2020.
Tony, thank you. I know we all appreciate your kindness and your generosity, but we also want to thank you for what you do because you represent a large number of our teachers throughout the state. So thank you for doing that. Next is Winston Holt. Winston, how are you today? Come on up. Winston Holt is the program manager for the Call Me Mr. program. I think most of you are aware of that program and the impact that it's having. Originally started in South Carolina, but has moved on to other states and started at Clemson, if I'm not mistaken. And so, Winston, thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir. Again, I'm Winston Holton, the program manager and field coordinator for the nationally acclaimed Call Me Mr. program, headquartered at Clemson University. And I always start my comments by saying I'm a proud Clemson University grad. And I normally say, cut me, I bleed orange. I wasn't going to say that here in Columbia. I thought someone might try. But I see several tiger paws, so I think I'm in good company, so I can say that. On behalf of Dr. Roy Jones, the Executive Director for Call Me Mr., as well as our President, Jen Clemens, and of course, our founding dean, Dr. George Peterson, we just want to say thank you for all the support. 20 years doesn't happen by accident, and it certainly doesn't happen in a vacuum. Our success doesn't happen in a vacuum. And certainly, Superintendent Spearman, you have been a great champion for us. We definitely appreciate all the support, as well as from all the board members. And we would very much look forward to having you at our reception this evening. And it is an open invitation that I'm giving to the board members as well at 4 o'clock at the Seawell Banquet and Reception Center here in Columbia. But we tell all of our young men that they cannot get their credibility from Call Me Mr. Call Me Mr. gets his credibility from the incredible work that our graduates do. And so what I want to do with the remainder of my time, if that's okay, Sharon, is I want to introduce you all to one of our young men who's going through the process. Mr. Evan Livingston is a junior elementary education major at Clemson University from Greer, South Carolina, a graduate of the Governor's School for Math and Science, and he holds the distinction of having not only being the vice president of the Clemson cohort, but he has the highest GPA in the cohort. 3.9. So I would like for Mr. Livingston to say a few words.
Evan, are you related to the other Mr. Livingston here
I
today?
was very surprised as well.
That's smart, it must be, I don't know.
My data genes. But thank you all. My name is Evan Livingston. I am a junior elementary education major from Greer, South Carolina. And I just want to thank you all for your support. Molly Spearman, thank you for the time that you guys have spent just supporting Call Me Mr. and just being with us today. Today is an important day because we're celebrating the 20th anniversary of Call Me Mr. And with that, we're celebrating the past, but it's also important as an insight to the future and what we have. And so Call Me Mr. has given me so much that I could ever want, and it has taught me how to lead with humility, compassion, and love for my students, and to build that relationship as a key component to understanding those students before trying to teach them anything in the classroom. And so I've learned a great deal, and I would love to share my story with you all at the reception if you will be there. And just again, I want to thank the board and you, Ms. Spearman, for everything that you guys have done and support for these past 20 years and years to come. Thank you.
And of course, go Tigers.
Mr. Chairman, would it be possible for us to ask all of the young men that are part of this program to stand up and be recognized?
Look at you getting out in front of me. Did you all hear what Ms. Howard said? Say it again.
I would like for all the young men as part of this program to stand up and be recognized.
Hear, hear. It is a great day in South Carolina, isn't it?
If that doesn't give you encouragement, Mr. Chair, I don't know what does. Thank you, young men, for being willing to go into such a challenging field, but I can promise you the most rewarding position you can ever have, so thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and before we get to the state, this actually is a state board item. It's normally an item we take care of when the full board meets as an ELC committee at 11 o'clock. We didn't have the information at that time, but each of you have before you the actions taken by the ELC committee. This morning, I will note on items 1 and 2, it says approves/denies. Both those were denied, just for clarification. So you have those in front of you, and since this comes from the committee, I don't need a second. Is there a motion? Is there, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. No. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, the next are state board items. The Policy and Legislative Committee met this morning. We had a 2-minute meeting this morning. That may be a record, I'm not sure. But we dealt with various waiver assessments relative to the testing regimen in our schools. And so we did approve those, and that was placed on the consent agenda. Next is the, yes.
Can I ask a question about
Yes,
that?
you may.
I'm just curious, how many waivers have we approved thus far? I don't know if the staff could.
Since the beginning of time, or just this year?
Yeah, just this year, how many waivers have been?
Liz,
Online testing waivers have been approved.
Liz, do you have a number?
Okay, sorry. We have approved waivers for 51 districts, and 30 districts have not requested waivers. That includes the charter school district and First County, adding up more than come out.
Yeah, and the reason I asked this question is I thought the number would be somewhere in that range. I'll tell you that I've had conversations with my staff about whether we would request a waiver. I think at least the assumption, and maybe based on some empirical evidence, is that the keyboard proficiency and other struggles, particularly that young students have, impacts the assessment data. And initially, the General Assembly encouraged us to move forward with online testing because that eventually was going to happen, and we needed to prepare our students for that. And I can tell you as a superintendent, I'm struggling with whether I am really doing a disservice to my students in particular by not requesting the same online testing waiver, and rather our results are being negatively impacted. But if we get to the point where we have out of 79 districts, already 51 districts who have requested an online testing waiver, I think it's time to revisit some things. And by the end of the year, we may be close to all 79 districts requesting an online testing waiver. And if that is the case, simply saying that we need to prepare students because that is eventually going to come really doesn't seem to be a reasonable statement.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, thank you, Dr. Green. I agree with you. I think it is something that we will probably need to address. I'm surprised that the number has grown so high. It originally, if you remember, came after 1 year of everybody taking the test online when we were required, and then we moved back. We've done some things. We give the text analysis. We give that paper to everyone to read that. So, but I've been surprised that it's grown. I'm not sure what would happen if we go to the legislature to ask for it changed, because there is a movement and a feeling there that our students need to be better prepared in keyboarding and be able to, and just, be able to move adequately on the computer. And they've given a lot of money over the years, quite honestly, to help us have equipment. But we will certainly, I'm open to addressing that. We're getting ready to go through cyclical review and looking at some possible changes. So we can begin having a discussion with them, but I'm not sure right now how that would fall if we went to the legislature for a complete change to reverse it. The reasoning that we gave that we needed waivers was that there's some districts who've had computers in place for a long time, students have more practice, they feel comfortable, and then others did not. So it was more by district, but I'm certainly open to having that conversation with the legislature. And Dr. Payne, I don't know if you need to comment on this as well, Mr. Chair, if I may.
The Dr. Payne comes up, Superintendent Spirit, I'll tell you, I had a conversation with a local superintendent who has requested an online. He told me that they studied the results the year prior to the waiver and after the waiver, and saw a sizable, noticeable increase in terms of academic gain.
Yeah.
And so to a large extent, what we are measuring is a kid's keyboard proficiency and their comfort level. And although we are trying to get kids to a level of comfort, asking a third grade kid to type an essay on a computer still may not be age appropriate.
Right. And I don't disagree with you. Now, I have checked with some of my colleagues in other states, some other southern states even. One was just here recently, last week, visiting, and they do not allow any waivers in their state. They take everything online. So, we have to judge that. Where do we want our students to be? But I'm certainly very open to talking with you all about it, and if we decide that we do need to go to the legislature, I'm willing to have that conversation.
And just simply to add to that, so the deadline for filing or asking for waivers is now passed, so this would be all the waivers that we would approve or bring before the state board this school year. We've actually already begun ordering materials and that sort of thing. We are going to be looking at those data because we have more and more to do this comparability. So when districts submit their waiver request, they typically do for a variety of reasons, and we try to give them the benefit of the doubt in looking at that. But also part of what we're beginning to do under this new process is really identifying what are the reasons for that. If they're talking about, for example, connectivity issues with the online administration, then we can have conversations with our chief information office here to see what support we can provide if it's about instruction that way. So we're really trying to identify, when they say this is why we need it, what we can do to support the district in the rest of it.
Mr. Boutson.
Just one comment or two on the other side of that issue. I think there is a disservice being done, but the service is being done by not pushing ahead to get our students more capable and more effective with their use of the computer. I heard a futurist talk several years ago, and he started his comments by asking the audience, wanted to see the hands of anybody that thought there was going to be less technology in the world in 5 years than there was at that moment. Not a single hand went up, and he said, I'm glad to see that we're in tune with that. So the need for skill with a computer is going to do nothing but get more important, more necessary. It's going to become more and more critical that our students are able to do that. And I think every time we back away from that, it's just like backing away from teaching them how to use a pencil or some other thing that we just take for granted as a basic skill. So that's the other side of it.
Thank you, Mr. Boutson. Any other comments? Okay, thank you very much. I now recognize Mrs. Pearson to present the Educator Professions Committee report. Mrs. Pearson.
Thank you, Chair. The Education Profession Committee approved 5 action items this morning. The first one was the South Carolina Educator Preparation Guidelines, Standards, Policies, and Procedures, National Provider Standards. The second was the South Carolina Educators Preparation Guidelines, Standards, Policies, and Procedures, Specialty Area Approval Standards. Third was the New Educators Preparation Program Approval Recommendation, Converse Alternative Certification or Education, CACAE at Converse College. Number 4, New Educators Preparation Program Approval Recommendation, Carroll Alternative Preparation, Carolina CAP, at the University of South Carolina, Columbia. And the fifth, the Critical Geographic Need Subject and Students for Employment for Retired Teachers, 2021. The committee did not hear any information items, and the committee placed all 5 items on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mrs. Pearson. Are there any questions for that committee? Hearing none, those will be placed on the consent agenda. I now recognize Mrs. Howard to present the Standards, Learning, and Accountability Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This morning, the Standards, Learning and Accountability Committee heard one item of information from the Office of Career and Technical Education update. Ms. Angel Malone is the Director of the Office of Career and Technical Education, Division of College and Career Readiness. Ms. Malone gave a detailed update on the state's Perkins 5 plan and the Office of Career and Technical Education efforts in computer science education. And what we were talking about a few minutes ago, there were several things relating to the testing and the computers discussed in our meeting today. But the committee felt that this information was extremely important. So we've asked Ms. Malone if she will share with you for 5 or 10 minutes just a brief summary of the report she gave us today on the computer science program. And we have with the hopes that in the next month or 2, we can have a more in-depth discussion of this program with the entire board. But we're going to ask Ms. Malone to just share a few things with you.
Ms. Malone.
Can you hear me? Good afternoon. Is this on?
It is on, but.
Okay. I can use my teacher voice.
There you go.
There you go. All right, so good afternoon. I'm glad to be with you on today to share with you about the update from the Office of Career and Technical Education as it relates to our Perkins 5 plan, as well as our computer science initiatives, which directly relate to what was just spoken about. I do want to take the time to say February is CTE month, so we've been celebrating all month long the great things that have happened, and it lays the premise as to what we're doing in our Perkins 5 plan. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to talk with a student, Travis Johnson, from Sumter, South Carolina, at Crestwood High School, who's the FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, National President. That's outstanding. And yesterday, he received his acceptance to Harvard University. We're super excited.
And, Mr. Chair, if I might, Angel, I think that young man was also one of our United States Senate Presidential Award winners last year. Is that right?
Yes, it was. And so I had the opportunity to share a message with him and send congratulations, but to also say you can go anywhere from CTE and SC. So I'm super excited about that and what we're doing, and it lays that premise for Perkins 5. The law was enacted in July of 2018, and shortly after that, we began working in a collaborative effort with agencies across the state and offices within our agency to include the South Carolina Technical College System, Department of Employment Workforce, Department of Commerce, Voc Rehabilitation, and other organizations and agencies such as that. Because of our collaboration efforts, we received national commendation at the ACTE conference in Anaheim, California, from Ms. Marilyn Fountain, who is a representative from the U.S. Department of Education, for the collaborative efforts and the spirit of what we're trying to do as a state to impact workforce development. I have provided you with a handout on Perkins 5, just so you can have some great night reading. And know about what we're doing as it relates to workforce development. In every meeting, we start off with the vision for our agency. We always start with that practice so we know what we're there for. And that vision being that all students graduate prepared for success in college, careers, and citizenship. But most importantly, along with that, is our mission for career and technical education. We took a unified approach with the Department of Employment Workforce and their WIOA plan, the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, to create a mission that spoke to developing a skilled workforce as well as a responsive workforce system that meets the needs of business and industry. Within the Perkins 5 plan, there is a new requirement for a comprehensive local needs assessment. So in order to ensure that we did that succinctly, not just to check a box, but to have a living and breathing document that changes as our labor market demands change, we broke our state up into 12 workforce regions. They are organized differently. They have the same types of people involved to include at least one technical college, several districts, workforce representatives from Commerce, Department of Labor, our regional career specialists, and the like, and our post-secondary partners. The difference is that in those regional meetings, whoever resonates or rises to the top as the leader is who leads the efforts of convening. And so it looks different from different regions across the state, but the work is phenomenal because we're able to speak to our agency voice of shared services, of best practices, looking at where the gaps are and how we can actually fill those. Our plan goes up for public comment tomorrow, February 12th, and then it goes on to our governor's office, of which I'm very proud that they've been an integral part of creating this plan with us and giving us their feedback so that we can statewide workforce development, which leads to the update for computer science as a part of Perkins 5. We know the need of computing within our state and also globally. So in 2018, those 9 through 12 standards were approved, and again, shortly after that, we began working. So this past year, we were able to train approximately 200 teachers through our efforts free of charge to help them to teach students in the introductory courses. In addition to that, we had held a CS symposium, which we supported 100 teachers, and then we're offering over 50 teachers Praxis Prep, so that if they are interested in getting that computer science certification, we're offering that to them with a program that has a 90% passage rate. In October, we were able to be a part of the Expanding Computing Educational Pathways Conference. And in that conference, we were acknowledged as a state, as the only state that has the high school graduation required of computer science in 1 full credit, which is amazing. It may seem like something simple, but what that does is it broadens our reach and access for students to have experience and exposure in computing. So much so that we were commended for having the highest broadening participation in computing rate of 69% in the nation. In South Carolina, also as Superintendent Spearman shared earlier, we had a tremendous growth in the amount of students that participate in AP Computer Science. And what we found out through research is that if students participate in those courses, over 60% of them continue in that pathway and move on to gaining post-secondary experience in computing and onto jobs in the computing field, of which is the #1 wage creator for the United States. This upcoming year, we will offer more training so that we scale up, not only giving training in the introductory courses, but also giving training in those advanced level courses so our students have the opportunities to take those in July. And we're doing that in concerted effort with the Computer Science Teachers Association and Citadel STEM Center for Excellence. And then finally, in June, we will help in hosting a CS Summit that the governor is hosting and bringing in other legislators and other officials to talk about CS education overall and then the story of South Carolina and how we're able to continue to grow. While we know there is much work to do, we know that the strategies and the long runway that we are creating now is helping us to close that gap and bring access to more students.
Questions for Ms. Malone? Ms. Malone, thank you.
Mr. Chair, the SLA committee had no items for consent.
Thank you very much, Ms. Howard. Interesting in listening to this, and I know you'll appreciate this, Madam Superintendent. I think you all will appreciate this. You know, if we listen to the press and if we listen to naysayers in this state, we get to hear about what the horrible state of public education in South Carolina. And quite frankly, I'm tired of it. I don't believe it. I think it's overstated. Because so many times, just in a week, you get to hear about, we're the only state that did this. We're the only state that did that. We're number one at this. And unfortunately, we live in a world that gets measured by things like test scores and assessments. And some of this world may think that tells the whole story. I don't think it tells much of the story, quite frankly, and that's my opinion. But what I really want to say is we have a lot to be proud of in South Carolina. We have great teaching universities. We have great superintendents. We have great school districts. We have fantastic teachers. We have fantastic principals. Often they're winning national awards, and we just need to focus more on the wonderful things that are happening in the state of South Carolina versus some of the negative press that we tend to come across from time to time. And just to be honest with you, some of that comes from the General Assembly. Some of it comes from other government bodies. I'll leave that, I won't say that name. I'm not going to. So thank you for listening to me and giving the chair that privilege to say those things. Counselor, I believe you have 2 items to present to us today for approval.
As you will recall, at the December meeting, the board disbanded the Innovation and Finance Committee. And in doing the disbanding the Innovation and Finance Committee, we restructured 2 other committees. We restructured Policy and Legislative Committee and restructured, well, we didn't have to restructure SLA because Standards Learning and Accountability, because it already had the items that it was supposed to be doing, instructional materials, that somehow had gotten out of its lane and gotten to INF, and so it's back in the right place where it should be. So the 2 items before you, item number 1 is an amendment to the property sales and disposal rule DO, policy DO. It is item number 1. I have paper copies, I'm sorry. And it brings up to date what actually does occur when, per the statute, per 5919-190, what must occur when a district wants to dispose of property purchased with state funds after 1952. So it's an update, a strike through. Why we had anything about school buses in that rules of governance, I do not know, but that is the clean copy of the DO. Also attached to DO were 2, I don't really know what to call them, DOE1 and DOE2. Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2, they predate me by a long, long time. Those are no longer required. They should have been disposed of long before the disposal of, or they should have been removed a long time ago. But before you is DO, updating policy DO on the disposal of state property.
You have that proposed amendment before you. Is there a motion to approve this? Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
At this time, I would ask if there is a 2/3 approval of this, that we could forego the second reading if there's a 2/3 vote.
Oh, so this is a first reading.
This is first
okay.
reading, but we can avoid that per your rules.
Okay.
If we have a 2/3 majority vote.
We need to do a
All in
short-
favor signify by saying aye.
we need to-
Aye.
Opposed? I think that's 2/3, at least. Thank you. 02.
The second is an amendment to Rules of Governance Policy BBCA, which is the Policy and Legislative Committee's rule of governance. And you'll note that it, in reorganizing after the disbandment of INF, that all waivers are coming to the state board and that the disposal of property is coming to the state board. So those are the two items that are added to that, to the attachment to BBCA. And under the same request, if approved by 2/3 vote, then we can forego the second reading. But that brings this policy and legislative rule conforms now to what you actually do.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve that proposed amendment?
Make a motion to approve. I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. You have your 2/3.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor. Once again, the chair's done this 2 months in a row. He jumped over the consent agenda, and who? Well, no, we approved that. We did approve that.
All right,
We did approve that earlier,
then consent.
the licensure cases. Yes.
So
But you're
on
supposed to
consent.
remind me not to skip the consent agenda. That's your responsibility.
You were making good comments, I was listening to you.
You have before you the items that were placed on the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The consent agenda is approved. Okay, we do have some information items. Mr. Payne, I think you're pinch hitting today.
I am. Unfortunately, Miss Manning had to go home today. She has the flu, so we
Oh,
said we'll stay
goodness.
home, rest. I told the office here, so we hope she gets well. So I'll be standing in for her today. Before the state board began at 1 o'clock this afternoon, we placed 3 benchmark reports. As you know, since we declared emergency declaration for these 3 districts, we have monthly come before you to give you an update, telling you about what's going on, the work that's been done, that sort of thing. For today's state board meeting, what we thought we would do is add a little more meat, sort of, to where we are with these objectives. For all 3 of these districts, we have been there for less than 2 years. The first of the 2-year anniversary will come up in April, the second anniversary will be in May, and the third anniversary will be in June of the emergency declaration. So Dr. Dixon was here, she might observe or opine it took a little longer than 2, not quite 2 years. So what we wanted to do is just kind of walk you through. I'll not read this verbatim, but I did want to point out.
You're correct about that. You won't read it verbatim. I'm just agreeing with you.
Thank you, sir. So for Florence Ford, we'll start with that. We identified at that emergency declaration 4 objectives. The first of those was to reduce the financial risk, have an audit in on time, and resolve all issues. They did submit their audit on time. However, it's important to note that rewind several years ago, they didn't have even the documentation in order to submit audits. So this year it was on time and complete. However, they did have some findings on their audit. Some of those were repeat findings, and so it continues to have a physical designation of emergency due to those repeat findings. So we are continuing to monitor that work. The second is to demonstrate compliance with respect to their federal programs, including but not limited to IDEA 501 Perkins. And you can see the number of things that we have done with the school districts. So they have made progress with most of these. Their accreditation is in pretty good shape for Advanced Ed Cognitive, which is a different kind of accreditation. They are meeting their requirements as required or outlined under the IDEA. And they have corrected most of the findings that they have under our Office of Career and Technical Education. We still have a few that are outstanding, and that office is continuing. So again, we're continuing to work with them. The third of these objectives, it relates to improving academic achievement for their students. And so I would point your attention to some of the things that we are excited about and certainly recognize, and that is just the number of students who are participating in our virtual SC program. 65% of them getting a passing grade or passing course for that. Decreasing the teachers who were teaching in out-of-field subjects. It was 14.3 in 17-18, and it's down to 0 at the elementary level. You can see there for the high school as well. As we shared before, Dr. Dixon did, Robinson was at one point our lowest performing elementary school and has now moved off that list. And so you can see additional details. The next several pages point you to some of the data. You'll see that in comparing year over year, the graduation rate did decrease. What I would observe with this is what school turnaround and school improvement teaches us is that it takes time. You can't do this kind of stuff overnight. It takes methodical, science-based, evidence-based approaches, culture change, and so forth and so on. With respect to their end of course, what we note in green are improved. What we've tried to highlight in blue are decreased improvements. So we have fewer, for example, students that scored an F. So you see in Algebra 1 in 17-18, they had 69.4% of their takers that got an F. That's down to 57.6. So fewer students are scoring an F, and more students are scoring D or higher. You'll see with respect to the let me do clarify there too, for all of these are not accountability data, these are assessment data. For our accountability for high schools, we use a 4-year cohort. What we looked at for these end of course was the test we gave last year compared to the test we gave the year before. You'll see with SC Ready and ELA and math, kind of a mixed bag. So we see where we're improving in some areas, we're not improving in some areas, where we're treading water. And that's again in both English language arts and mathematics. Very comparable in science and social studies. Our fourth objective was about improving student interventions and opportunities for the students. And so you'll see the different activities there. One of the things that I would point out that goes along with what Ms. Malone was talking about is Timminsville participation in the Continuum, which is a coordinated partnership with local school districts, Darla Moore Foundation, Francis Marion University, and Florence Darlington Tech. They have this school year 10 students 8 students from Florence Moore are in a CNA program, and 5 are completing a specific welding program that will queue them up for a job at Honda there in Timminsville. So we're very pleased with those students participating in that. And then you see some data comparing year over year in terms of what parents are responding with respect to their children feeling safe at school and more. So you see a mixed bag, but things look to be going in the right direction. So that's our benchmark report for Timminsville.
Mr. Grosky.
I just have a question about those two. It seems astounding, though, that if I'm reading this right, that a third of the parents feel their children are not safe in middle school, and almost 60% don't feel the children's teachers and staff in Manor South going to school.
It's the other way, no.
Environmental things that seem learning of that is fundamental to preventing everything we want public education to be.
Right, yes, sir. And again, that's certainly something that we continue to work with the leadership in the school, Ms. Addison, who's the principal there, and making sure that not only the students feel comfortable, their parents do as well.
Mr. Grassi, I think, if I heard you right, I think, no, the 60%, the 90% at the elementary school do feel safe. 60% do feel safe.
Right, I was looking at the middle school.
At the middle school, 66?
63, it's up to 66.
Well, it says 66%.
Yes, sir.
That's almost a third of that.
Right, yes, sir. There's work still to be done, for sure. Thank you.
So it seems middle school is a particular.
It's a tough age, yes, sir.
Anybody surprised about that?
No,
Right.
no, I'm just saying, it
Yeah.
seems to me it's almost 60% of the parents in middle school feel that God has not, we've done to keep them safe is pretty alarming. This is an area of work. I understand there's no magic bullet, but
Yes, sir.
it seems like fundamental. If we don't get beyond that, nothing else can close that.
Right, yes, sir, and we agree with that, sir.
Right.
And that's why we continue to work very closely with Ms. Addison and the teachers there in the school to address that. Okay, okay, I will move on to
Dr. Green.
Thank you, Chairman Brennan. As you alluded to, John, that, when you look at the assessment data, it's a mixed bag, if you will, in some areas of increase, some areas of decrease. And a couple of points I just want to just highlight for the board. I mean, first of all, we always talk about different cohorts of kids. And so when we start comparing students from 2017 to 2018, we aren't talking about the same students. That's almost akin to comparing my third child with my fourth child. They don't necessarily always perform at the same level. And the second thing I want to say is, and not saying whether it's successful or not, but we're never going to be in a state of perpetual growth. And sometimes people look at data and say, well, I always want to see you increase from year to year. But that's not logical. There's no way, I don't care what school year, that you're going to be in a perpetual state of growth where you increase from 14 to 15 to 16 to 17 to 18. There will always be ebbs and flows in data. I mean, that's just the reality of how data is when you're dealing with different kids. So we should always view data through that kind of context and look at kind of long-term trends, if you will, and rather you can sustain certain areas of improvement. And so as we look at just kind of 1 year of data snapshot, I can tell you, you can't change a culture in a year. And even if you see some increases, sustainability is my next question. Have you changed a culture where you can sustain that over time? And the only way to measure that is over time. That's correct. That's one way to get one.
Thank you.
and we certainly agree with that in terms of that culture and see with all these, because a lot of them, although we have cleared some of these findings of non-compliance, we still want to work and make sure that that sustainability is there. We don't get back into where we were before we started. Allendale, very briefly, comply with their federal and state programs. They've made a lot of improvements to that. All of their non-compliance has been corrected, and they've gotten all clear. Reduced the financial score. They did submit their audit on time. They did have a few findings that remained. As a result, they are staying in that watch designation, and our Office of Finance and Auditing is continuing to work with that. In terms of academic achievement, again, similar kinds of things with numbers of students participating in virtual education. The student-teacher ratio is decreasing, out-of-field teachers. You'll see that their graduation rate did tick up a little bit from 17-18 to 18-19. Again, and what you'll see with the other data with the end of course, SC Ready and SC Pass, again, a mixed bag of comparing 2 years of data. As far as improving intervention services and opportunities for students, of course, we talked about the Saturday school that they have began, the SAVE program, the PBIS, positive behavioral interventions and support system they're put in place, a lot of contributions to the community. In terms of Objective 5, enhancing the community support, and that's really something that we commend Dr. Gilmore. She has really charged the community that is very active in holding monthly meetings, creating new partnerships, working with institutes of higher education for dual enrollment, and that sort of thing. Again, you'll see that. So with Allendale, also kind of comparing the 2 years, seeing where they are, but again, monitoring for that sustainability. Last but least of all is Williamsburg County School District. Dr. Rose Wilder is our superintendent there. That's their first anniversary we're coming up on, April 11th, 2018 is when we declared emergency there. All federal programs comply with the first objective. We are very pleased to report that all of that has now been satisfied, so they have corrected all of those particular ones. With respect to accreditation, they did have 5 schools that got the off year for accreditation last year, so they don't have to go through it this year, but we are working with 6 schools in Williamsburg this year that are going through the accreditation process, which is currently underway. The second is to reduce the district's financial risk and physical practice ratings. Their audit was submitted on time. They had 0 repeat findings and 0 new findings. That is really something that Dr. Wilder and her team should be commended on in getting that in place. You may recall when we went down there originally for their IDEA, they had not budgeted and expended in excess of $200,000, which they then had to remit to us to the U.S. Department of Education, and they are now budgeting and expending exactly what they need to do it, so we can end on that. In terms of approving staffing and with respect to their determination under the IDEA, just like every Student Succeeds Act, the IDEA has different categories, and so we want them to move from one of those lowest up to the better ones. This data does lag a year. The new determination will be coming out in the next couple of months, and we anticipate it improving. We did see some improvement from 16-17 to 17-18, so we anticipate that to continue. In terms of the academic assessment achievement, again, what you'll see is something very comparable to what we've seen in the other two districts presented thus far. We're a mixed bag comparing year over year, but some areas improving, and other areas maybe not so much, but we're certainly pleased with where it's looking to be in these 2 years data that we have. District leadership turnover, Ms. Gilmore's been there for less than 2 years, of course, and still continuing to assess the leadership needs of the district, and she's doing that as we speak, and she anticipates having some reassignment perhaps moving into next school year, but is continual working with that. By and large, there's been very little turnover. Their special ed director, as an example, has been in place pretty much for the last 2 years. The CFO, so they've got some stability there.
Dr. Wilder, I think you said Ms. Gilmore, but yeah, right. Just didn't want anybody to worry about getting.
Sorry. Mr. Chair, that concludes their benchmark report.
Mr. Butson.
Perhaps, I know there's probably better ways to spend time, but listening to Dr. Green's comments, perhaps a follow-up report that compares 2015-16 to 2018-19, so that there's a longer thing in there, because he's right, it kind of ups and downs a little bit.
That's right.
And we'll be happy to look at that. Just one thing I would just observe is that a lot of this are based on the current accountability system in terms of how we're looking at the data. So we want to make sure that, when we change cut scores on tests, when we change accountability systems, that we have some comparability to that.
Dr. Payne, thank you.
Sir, thank you.
Excellent. You did a great job in representing Ms. Maddie. Ms. Williams, quarterly review of the State Board of Education's fiscal year budget. How are you?
Thank you. Good afternoon. Just want to give you a very brief overview of the state board's operating budget. The prior budget updates were given during the prior innovation conference meeting. But if you have the budget report, I'm going to draw your attention to the second column, the very last number. So the state board of education's total budget is $58,034. That amount has been the same amount that's been appropriated by the administration in 2005. Okay, so your budget is pretty much broken up into two parts. So the first portion includes just a budget for your general operating expenses like per diem and travel related costs, and that's that first number that you see in the second column of $32,034. The second portion relates to the amount budgeted for items covered to assist with teacher cases. Okay, so that's a $26,000 budgeted amount. So just to keep it very brief, at the end of January 31st, 2020, as it relates to your operational budget, State Board had expended roughly $15,846. So your total monthly expenditures vary, of course, by member attendance and the need for lodging. But overall, it tends to run between $3,000 to $3,300 per month in expenditures. So before any outstanding encumbrances, you have expended about 49% of your budget. You have $15,127 left in the operational component of your budget. With 5 more months, including February, you're still on track to stay within the budgetary constraints, and I personally have issues with that. As it relates to the teacher case component of your budget, again, you're on track, no major issues. I just want to tell you, as far as understanding everything that's provided with the rest of the information, the commitment item component, that's just all of the purchase orders that are outstanding. And if you flip to the last page, you'll see the detailed list of those outstanding
Questions for Ms. Williams? Okay, thank you. Okay, the chair is not aware of any other items to come before us today. I would remind the members to get your travel forms in to Ms. Red.
Now, I thought one thing I would, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, Mr. Walters chaired a committee yesterday, and folks, Dr. Moore from Ms. Hawkins' division staff, that I asked them to come together, a small group, to give some recommendations to us on how we should look at an issue that's happening, and superintendents have told me that our current discipline policies do not allow them to handle it properly, and that's sexting, using cell phones improperly with messages. So if you want to just comment a minute, I know I haven't received the full recommendation yet, but it's something that we'll be talking about in the future.
Certainly, and I'll be brief with it. Yesterday we met, we have stakeholders in this small group from across the education community as well as from the legal community participating in it. And certainly it's a problem across the state because so much of it is in statute, is in pornography and obscenities, but not specifically about sexting. And so it's putting our school administrators and our school resource officers in positions where they're having to do these interpretations and trying to get it right. And so what our committee was working on was addition to the discipline code that would be something more specific in line with that, and then possibly, if necessary, ask the legislature to look at something more specific with that. There was a bill proposed about 5 years ago that would have been specific to sexting, and it died in committee, and as far as I know, it hasn't been brought back up. But what we're looking for with this is not only for level 3 offenses, but in what situations would it actually be a level 2 offense and not be criminally related.
Thank you, Mr. Walters. And this is not an official committee of the state board, but I asked Mr. Walters, with his experience in law enforcement, to assist us with that. So we'll be moving forward. But thank you for your help with it.
Okay. Anything else to come before this board? I did fail to, just remembered, I failed to acknowledge another elected official. Mr. Jason Stapleton is with us today. He is the mayor of Williston. And so, Jason, thank you for being here. And Jason happens to be married to Miss Stapleton, the superintendent in Barnwell. And Jeff, welcome to South Carolina from Columbus, Ohio. Has the dean left? Okay. Again, just thank you to the dean and for his entire team to being with us today. Again, we appreciate all the hard work you're doing to be innovative and creative. And with that, Barbara, do you have something you want to say? You're giving me a look there.
Did we go to the consent agenda?
What?
No.
Did I forget something, Barbara? Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. So with that, we stand adjourned. Thank you.